We'll also be learning how to create, configure, and manage identities. We'll also learn how to implement and manage external identities, and also how to implement hybrid identity. I don't know if Chinke has an Active Directory environment, but he may be able to explain how you go about it. I don't know if we have an external environment where we have an Active Directory and then initiate Cloud Connect and what do you call it, Cloud Sync. Anyway, I'll leave that to Chinke to carry over. All right, thank you very much, and happy to learn it today. Thank you, Chinke. Please go ahead.
Okay, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you very much for.
Thank you. Welcome aboard again.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here, and thank you so much for your engagement yesterday. It was really interesting for me to engage you guys and have you also pick my brain. So today we're still in the Entra identity, and we are going to look more into implementing some of these configurations. Now, I did show some of the things you can do with Entra yesterday, but for today's session, we're going to be looking into company branding, right? Where you learn how to customize sign-in experience to reflect your organization's identity, because your Microsoft 365 tenant is your organization's identity, right? So some organizations decide to customize that tenant so that it reflects their branding more. And then we'll also look at role management and assigning custom roles. And we'll also look into the users and the roles, right? And how we can use that knowledge in real time, in real life experiences. And we'll also look into administrative units. We'll breeze through role permissions to ensure a least privileged model. And we'll move into custom domains as well, show how to verify and configure your own domain in tenant. And we'll look at tenant-wide settings, user behaviors, security defaults again, and guest access. So the learning objectives basically for today will be you knowing where to go to configure. Please, can you mute yourself if you're not? Yeah, thank you. So the major objectives today will be knowing about company branding, knowing where to go to assign roles appropriately, where to go if you want to create and manage administrative units, and enabling delegated administration and role permissions, least privilege, custom domains, and tenant-wide settings and properties. So without wasting too much time, would like to start with company branding. Now, when you go to office.com and you click on sign in, right? You are brought to this page. Let's see. Try and open an incognito. So let's say you go to office.com, right? And you click on sign in. You're brought to this page. So on this page, you can see that it's plain, but Microsoft gives you the opportunity to customize this sign-in page. Now, when I say customize the sign-in page, you might be asking what kind of customization am I talking about? The kind of customization I'm talking about is having your company logo or your company name or branding all around this page to reflect that organization. So any member of your tenant that goes to click on sign in, once they put in their business email here, right, and click on next, it will change from here. Now I can give you an example. Let me see. Did you see that? It changed because this has been customized. So you can see there's a logo here, there's a logo behind, there's the organization name here. You can do a lot more than this. This is what it is on this tenant, but in your own organization, if you have more pictures and more logos, you can do that. Please, guys, let me know if I'm audible and if you're following at any point in time, please.
We are very loud and
Yes, you're
clear.
audible and we are following.
We are very loud, and we are following.
All right, thank you. So I will show you also, this is an example of what I'm talking about as well. So you can see here the company name, the sign in. These are the different things that you can see. I can paste this for you in the chat as well. Yeah, so these are some of the things that you can edit on the company branding page, right, for sign in. Now, this company branding not only affects the sign-in page, you might as well do a theme, right, for your Microsoft 365, whereby once you're signed in and you are on the home page here, right, your company colors or any logo you have will also be displayed at the top here. Will also be displayed at the top here, right? So I'll show you where we can do that as well. Just give me a moment. But first, I want us to talk about why branding matters. So it's important because it gives like a first impression of your identity system. A well-branded, consistent sign-in experience reinforces corporate identity. As an employee of an organization, right? Let's say you're a remote employee, you're at home and then you open your company laptop and you go to the browser, go to office.com, you want to sign in and you see that logo. I feel like it gives you more, it puts you more in tune with the organization, right? It builds trust, reassures the users that they are in the right place and you're signing into the right tenant with a lot of hacking and so on going on, right? So users want to be sure that they're in the right place. And this consistency goes a long way as well in reducing phishing risks, making your authentication flow feel familiar to your users. So they know that if they go to any URL to sign in, sometimes these bad actors can send them phishing emails and say, okay, click here to sign into your business account, and they click sign in, right? If they don't see that company branding there, then they know that they're in the wrong place and that email is not legitimate. That is how it reduces phishing risks and making the authentication flow feel familiar. So moving forward, we're going to be talking about what elements, just like I showed you in the screenshot here. We have the Entra gives you like a variety of elements. We are talking about background image, color, banner logo, square logos for both light and dark themes. And you can also customize the favicon, right? the favicon you can see is here. This logo here you see at the top, that's the favicon, and is the additionally you can define sign-in page title, right? The title of your sign-in page, which as you can see in number 7 here, this is called sign in, or you can customize it to what you want and give a description of what it is. And you can also give a username hint, text, or self-service password reset link as well. Like you can see, can't access your account. So all of these things on a sign-in page for an organization can be customized, and you can also put in footer links for privacy, terms of use, and so on. And you can even upload a custom script file for deeper control, layout, and style, and so on. So I'm not going to delve deep into this because one, I don't even have any logo and so on, and I don't want to change someone else's logo on that tenant. So yeah, that's basically how you can do that, and these are the things that you can, the elements that you can edit in for company branding. Now, to configure company branding is done in the Entra Admin Center. I will show you how to go about it. Please pardon me, I was supposed to drop my PDF from yesterday. So what I'll do is I'll drop that from yesterday and this from today. So you have everything for this weekend that I had as well, I used for this training. So now let's go to Entra and let's look at where we can do this company branding we're talking about. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. So this is the Entra Admin Center. Now, for you to locate, there are 2 ways you can locate the company branding. You can come here to the top and just type it, company branding, or you can come here. So if you click on custom branding here, it brings you to where you can do this, right? So you can see the favicon here. These are the basics. So this is the page you come to first, and then the default sign-in experience is here, which you can edit, and you can click on edit, and you can put in your logos. It will ask you to upload it, and it will give you the file sizes, the maximum file sizes, file type. Now you can see here that it says PNG is preferred to JPEG and this JPG. Now that is what is preferred, but doesn't mean you can't use JPEG. But it's preferred that whatever image you want to use is first converted to PNG before you use it. So the background image, you can see in the login page I showed you, that background image we saw. You can see it uploaded here, and you can choose the background color of your page as well, and you'll see the layouts. You can choose the header if you want to put a header or a footer or a custom script file to customize the branding experience further. You have header, footer here, and they also have file sizes as well, and then the banner logo as well. You can see that here. You can put that in as well, and your self-service password reset link, you can put that as well and review. So this is where company branding happens. This is where everything occurs. On your own free time, on your test tenant, you can test it out with any logo or images that you have to see what exactly it is like. Any questions on company branding so far? Okay, we have Emmanuel with his hands up. Emmanuel, you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Chinke. Thank you so much. This is really what is it's really clear. Well, however, I would like to find out, let's say in a tenant, you have multiple domains, and each of those domains have their different logos and images and all of that. So, well, if you want to do things like this, how can you implement it for each of those domains? Is it possible? Or you just have to go with just one major one ID?
So that is a very good question, Emmanuel. Thank you very much for that question. So we know that in Microsoft 365, you're allowed to add more than one domain. But in terms of company branding, right, you cannot have a customization for each of those domains because you're signing into the same tenant. It's the same tenant.
Yeah.
It's one
Sure.
tenant. It's just that you've added multiple domains due to either you having different businesses or something and looking for one place to manage all of those things.
Yeah.
So if you are doing that, you can, if there's a parent company, you can put the parent company logo, but it is not possible to have a different experience for each of the domains you have added in Microsoft 365. No, there's only one sign-in experience for the tenant, and it is done per tenant. So if you need for a different domain, then the advice will be create a different tenant, migrate whatever you have from the old domain to the new one, and then create a different experience on there. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure, it's clear. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. So we also have in the chat the URL on how to customize company branding. So you can also go through that. And also, for you to be able to even see this custom branding, you have to have Microsoft Entra ID Premium P1, P2, or any Office 365 subscription. It must be active on your tenant for you to be able to see custom branding. If it's not on your tenant, then you're not going to see custom branding there. Okay. All right. So in the absence of,
I think Emmanuel, your hand is up.
Hi, Chinke. Thank you so much for the
hey, how are you
Thank
doing,
you so much.
Michael?
Good. Thank you. So I just wanted to add, right? Most of them, when we went through setting up the tenant, right? The one I recommended for them to activate is the business basics trial. So probably you can take them to the admin center so you can show them how to activate the trial for the P1 so that they can have that
Okay.
they can have it as part of the recording as well.
Okay. All right. Not a problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we come in here. Yesterday already, we were looking at the Entra and so on, and the things that you can do in Entra. So in terms of licenses and trials, right? I believe I did mention that this is where you can see the licenses in your organization, right? And you can see all the products here. Now you can also activate trials in here. You can come to search for it. Give me a moment. Come to all products here, right? And then you see plus try or buy. So you can click on this. And so it will not show me here the P1 because I think I already have that. but you can see for the P2 here, you can see the free trial, you can activate it here. So if you don't have P1, it will be in this list and you will be able to activate that trial here. And it will also show you what is included in the trial and what you can use it to do. Okay. So just to show you again how we got here, from the home in Entra, you scroll down, come to billing, drop it down, click on trials, and then you'll have the trials here, which you can activate. Okay. All right. Sorry if I'm sniffing a lot. I came down with a cold, guys. All right. So that is that for company branding. Next, we're going to look at the Entra roles. These roles, right, they're like your mechanism for controlling administrative permissions, right? Who can do what's within the directory. There are many inbuilt roles that you have, such as global admin, help desk admin, application admin, and more. These roles give different levels of access to directory operations, to users, to groups, and domains, right? But roles can be scoped. You don't always need to assign someone at the tenant-wide level. You can limit their scope to an administrative unit or to specific app registrations, right? So when you're talking about on this, yesterday we talked about giving the least privilege, right, to users. That we discussed that yesterday. Now these roles is part of what will assist you in giving that user that role, so that they don't have access to more than what they need to have. Now the highest role in the tenant is the global administrator role. The global administrator role has access to everything in the tenant. Entra, Purview, 365 Admin Center, you have access to everything. So not everybody or not all executives can be global admins, of course, right? So other people might have other roles in the organization. Someone might be a help desk administrator, taking care of tickets, issues that may arise in the organization. Now you give that person just a help desk administrator role because that is what they need. Or someone might be a user administrator. Maybe the person's job is to take care of tasks that are more user focused, right? It can be creating users, deleting users, making sure that delegates are assigned to the right accounts and so on. That's part of the job of a user administrator. Now, these roles, right, can be assigned within Entra. Now, let's come here. So when you come to the home in Entra, you click on Entra ID here, you're going to see roles and admins on the left. So in here, you have all roles, right? These are all the roles you have in Entra. You can see the global administrators here, and you can see help desk administrator, hybrid identity. There are so many. You can go through the documentation to go through and see what each of these roles do. There's a description also if you log into your tenant where you can read on what they do, and you'll see in here that it's a built-in role. Now, there are a lot of built-in roles, as I said, but you can also create a custom role. depending on your organization requirements, right? You can create a custom role, and you can also create an admin unit, which we will get to. Okay. Now, I don't want you to be confused, and also because I'm not too sure of your previous classes if they have also touched roles in the M365 Admin Center, but just to make you aware as well, in the M365 Admin Center, there are also roles here. Now, if you come to role assignments in the 365 Admin Center, you'll see the Microsoft Entra ID roles as well here. Now, real life scenario, right? From experience, I have seen where sometimes you're trying to assign certain roles in Exchange Admin Center or Entra Admin Center, and you assign the role and it's not working, right? Sometimes you might have to come here. Now, I'm just trying to, I don't want to confuse you, as I said, right? But I want to give you real life scenarios that you can relate to, and you can also know you don't panic when you see certain situations. Now, if you are trying to assign, let's say you first tried from here, right? You want to assign a Microsoft Entra ID role, and you come here and you try to assign the role from here. And you notice that after assigning the role, what you expect the user to be able to do is not happening immediately. Normal propagation time is 2 to 24 hours, right? Which you can wait. But at the same time, sometimes it processes faster. You don't need to wait those 2 to 24 hours. Now, if you check other roles and you see other roles are working and the particular role is not working, and it's an Entra ID role, you've tried it from 365, you go into the Entra Admin Center and you try it from there as well. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, can you give me a minute, please? Let me just clean myself.
All right, guys. While we're waiting for Chinke to come back, do you have any questions so far based on what Chinke has already covered? So that I can see if I can take those questions. No question. That means Chinke is doing a good job. All right.
Yeah, sorry guys. I told you I came down with the flu last
Sorry
night.
about that.
Sorry,
Yes,
winter is dealing with you.
oh man, my brother is
It's
not
really
small.
winter is here.
Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, if you try here and you notice that the role it hasn't taken effect, right? Sometimes you need to unassign that role and come here into the Entra and assign the role as well. Now, not only for Entra ID, what I'm telling you cuts across. As I said, be it in Exchange Admin Center, you're trying to assign a role, it's not working. Sometimes go away from the Exchange Admin Center and come here to the 365 Admin Center and try to assign the roles. So just like you have roles here you've seen roles in 365 Admin Center, you've seen roles in Exchange in Entra Admin Center, you also have roles in the Exchange Admin Center. Okay. Now, I'm just showing you where you have these roles available so that you're aware, right? You're aware that it's not only in the Entra ID that you can assign roles, you can assign roles in the Exchange, you can assign roles in 365, and you have to be able to juggle them when you notice that, oh, you're trying to assign a role and what you expect it to do is not taking effect. Yeah. Okay. So now about for you to assign those roles, you just come here and let's take one, for instance. Let's say we take compliance administrator, right? And you come into it, you can see description, assignments, you can add assignments here, right? And you can select the user that you want to have that role, and it will add the user, okay? And it has successfully added it, right? That is how you can add those roles in here. Okay, so let us move ahead. Any questions so far?
Yeah, sorry, can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so you were talking about the rules, how to add the rules. So I think I was lost at some point. Can you recap, like maybe do a run down again? Sorry.
Okay, not a problem. So for you to assign roles within Entra, you come to home here and you drop down Entra ID here and you scroll down and you come to roles and admins. This is where you see all the roles. So in order for you to assign a role to a user, you click on the role, right? And then you add assignments. Then you select the user you want to add and you add. And that's it. That user has been given that role. As I said, propagation time can be between 2 to 24 hours. Most times it happens quicker, right? It just depends on how Microsoft 365 is feeling that day. Yeah, so it can happen a lot quicker. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, very loud, very well, loud and clear.
All right, great. Femi, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Kiki. I just wanted to ask, what is the maximum number of rows a user can be assigned by default?
Okay. Now, this question is very, very good, right? And you know why it's good? Because there's a common problem that I have seen a lot happen in 365, especially with administrators, right? And that question is called that issue is called repeated redirects, right? Let me see if I can search what that error looks like. Okay. Sorry, just give me one. Okay. Trying to get it on a big image so we can see it. Okay. All right. So now to answer your question, there's no particular number of roles that you can say should be assigned, right? Roles are assigned based on needs. In cybersecurity, they'll tell you to assign only what is necessary, right?
Okay.
Because you don't want to give more than is required to a user. Now, sometimes administrators feel in Microsoft 365. That is why, if you remember when we started talking about roles, I told you the highest role in the organization, you know what it is?
Global administrator.
Correct. That's the global administrator. That role can do anything within the organization. So a user having that role covers for all the other roles. The only time it doesn't cover, I'll just tell you, but I'm not diving in. The only time it doesn't cover is when you want to perform certain tasks like content search, right? Where you might need certain additional roles for you to be able to export that content search within the organization. That's an exchange matter. We're not dealing with exchange
Okay.
now, but yeah, that's the only time you need additional roles as a global administrator. But as a global administrator, just having that global administrator role alone covers for the entire tenant. But I have seen a situation whereby administrators go and they click more than global administrator, right? You see them assigning SharePoint, cloud, these, they assign so many of these roles here, and then you find out that a user has what 80 something roles. Now, what happens? Generally, in the grand scheme, their account is fine, is working fine, they have access to resources. But if you try to log in on the browser, right, to let's say Outlook or some certain things, you're going to get this error. You're going to get this error, repeated redirects. Okay? Now,
Repeated
anywhere,
redirects.
yeah, you can you see my screen? Can you see it
Yeah, I
on
can
my
see your
screen?
screen clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the error you'll get. Now, this error is usually as a result of multiple roles being assigned. Now, this is just one example of some of the errors that can come out of you having multiple roles assigned. Multiple roles assigned affects even migration sometimes. When, as an administrator, you're carrying out a migration, you have multiple roles assigned to a user, it can affect the migration in certain ways. It can affect logging into Outlook and giving you these repeated redirects. These are common issues that occur and why we advise do not assign more roles than necessary. Now, that administrator that went to assign all those roles probably is not aware that having only the global administrator role is enough for you to carry out the tasks that you want to carry out in the admin center. Now, there are some other Entra roles, right, which are also specific to Entra and which you can use to do more, right? If we're going through here now, we can see Microsoft Entra joint device local administrator. You can see the description of what it does, right? Which is with users with this role can become local machine administrators on all Windows 10 devices joined to Microsoft Entra. So you don't need to go and be creating.
When I withdrew from antivirus, I noticed
please, can we mute?
someone became so conversation was stopped when
Thank you. So instead of you going to create a local machine administrator for all your domain joint systems, right? What you can just do is assign the person this role, and that person will be a local machine administrator on all Microsoft Entra joint devices, Windows 10 devices, right? For them to be able to do that. Now, but you can see it tells you also that they do not have the ability to manage devices objects in Microsoft Entra, but they will become local machine administrators on those devices. So they can log into those devices as an admin and make changes on there. Okay. Now, we said that we've talked about a lot of inbuilt roles, right? You've seen all these roles can do. Now, for a certain vendor, right, that's coming into your organization to do some work or to do some certain things, you can decide as an admin that, see, I want to create a user for this guy, but I want to customize the roles because I don't want him to have full access to everything. Now you can do that by creating a custom role here, right? You can either use baseline permissions and pick your permissions that you want to give the user from scratch, or you can clone a custom role if you have one, right? In here are all the permissions, all of the permissions. So depending on the vendor or what you are trying to achieve by creating this custom role, you select those permissions from here, and you would have created, you review, and you would have created that custom role. It's still going to appear in here, only under the type here, you see that it's a custom role. Okay?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. In the next, Abdullahi, please remind me in the next 10 minutes, we'll go on a small 5 minutes break, okay? All right. So now moving forward, we're going to talk about, we've talked about creating these custom roles, right? And what they do and so on, and the inbuilt roles as well. Now, yeah, I did this, but unfortunately, I understand that not everyone in the class has access to a test tenant. I would have loved it, but on your own time, right? You can go into the Entra, assign a built-in role to a user, right? And you can create a custom role as well, give it permissions and so on. Now, another thing you should know is you can assign roles to security groups. So just like how you create a user, right? You can create a security group and add members in there as well, and you can assign these roles. So how, you know how we went into a role and we said add assignments and we selected the user. So you can see here that you have groups as well. So you can assign a role to a group such that every member of that group has that role that you need. Now, what kind of group are we talking about? Maybe we can say we have a board of directors group in the organization, right? And we want to give all those board of directors global admin access to the organization. You can come here, come to global administrator, and you would have created a security group for board of directors and added all the board of directors in there, and you just come to global admin and you add them, you add assignments and you add the group in here, and that's it. It's a global admin. Those, everyone that belongs to that group is a global admin. It's that easy. Yeah, so you can do this on your own time, and as well leveraging the Microsoft Learn document, which is in the chat there as well, on roles, on managing users and roles. Okay. So what more do we talked about admin units, right? Creating admin units. These are also, these administrative units are used to restrict user roles and their, how they are managed, right? You can have, let's say, an administrative unit for onboarding or for anything in your organization, right? And then you want to decide what roles you give to these administrative units for them to be able to carry out their duties. So you can do that here as well. You can read more of that on the role, right? And you can also look at, I'm not going to go into protected actions, but basically, I'm not going deep into it, but what it does, right? For conditional access, right? When you're doing conditional access and you need additional security, right? They're enforced through protected actions. You can create these protected actions in here, right? That would help So for instance, you can set, I don't know, do we know by a show of hands, how many of us know what conditional access is? We did touch on it yesterday as well. So, and there were no questions around it. So I believe we do know what it is. Yeah. So you can add some certain actions when creating conditional access. For instance, let's say the CEO now, you know that the CEO carries out certain tasks with his account, which may be contrary to whatever you set in the conditional access, and then you want that action to be protected, right? You want it to be a legitimate action. You can add it in here as well. The documentation will teach you more on that. The documentation on roles and role-based access control. Now you can also see that for roles you have audit logs that shows you what actions have been taken and so on. You can see here it says role management and add member to role, success, and so on. And you can filter, you can set the filters to what information you want to be shown on there and so on. Yeah. So that is that for roles. Now, since we're talking about roles as well, right? Let's come to users, and roles is not only, well, not only you can, when we're talking about roles, we're talking about permissions, right? When you hear roles, most times you're hearing next to it permissions, because a role comes with a certain permission level, right? For you to be able to do certain things. Now that is on the administrative side. Now, also, I believe you might already know this, but I just want to still let you know. You can also give, we're talking about access. So in terms of access, you can give delegate access to a user. For instance, you have a user AB who was previously in the organization but is no longer with the organization, and you want to give someone delegate access. Bless me, sorry. Yeah, you want to give someone delegate access to AB's accounts, right? You can do that as well. You can do that from the 365 admin center here by coming to users on the left and active users. You click on the user that left the organization, you come to mail. Oh, this person does not have a license. Let's come to someone who has a license. Let me see. Okay, here. So let's say this is the user that left the organization. What? Sorry. Oh, I think this licenses are expired. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, they're expired. But you come here, you come to mail, you will see delegate access here. I'll show you what it looks like by coming to, let's see if we have it showing up here. Yeah, so forget about this, how I got here. What I want to show you is the mailbox permissions and how you can add a delegate to a mailbox, assign a delegate role. So these are the roles. You can add read and manage permissions, which will give full access. You can add send as permissions, which will allow the person send as the person that they are giving access to their mailbox, and you can send on behalf as well. So in terms of access, you can also access someone's mailbox as a delegate, and that can be set by you, the administrator. Are we following?
100. We are with you.
All right, great. We're just going to go on a quick break, and as soon as we come back, we're going to enter administrative units. Okay, before we go on a break, I see Lovina has a question. You can go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah.
On behalf of the same thing you can do on Exchange. Delegation?
Yeah. Yes, the delegation can be done in Exchange as well. Yes, you are correct. Okay. Is that all?
I think someone's hand was up apart from Lovina. Is it Lovina? Lovina. Okay.
Yeah, I think it
I saw
was.
someone else hands up before Lovina. Anyway.
Yeah, I saw it too. But please feel free to ask your question. Or you can think about it and we go on a 5-minute break. It's 8 o'clock now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chinke Ojiji.
It's Chinke. Chinke.
Chinke. Thank you for correcting me. Good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Right.
my question is on that role assignment. Like now, on Entra ID, you assign somebody's role of global administration or any other administration role.
Yeah.
Well, when the person go to maybe SharePoint or any other, will it be assigned the same role across all the across all the administration tenant wide? Yeah, thank you so much. That's my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Yahaya, for your question. Yes. So whatever role you are given to anyone, be it in the Entra, be it in the 365, be it in Exchange, right? Whatever role you've assigned to that user, tenant-wide. These roles are not specific to just Entra or specific to just 365 or specific to just Exchange. That's why I made sure to mention that these are the locations where you can assign roles to users. You can assign roles in Entra, you can assign roles in 365 and in Exchange. And in Purview as well, Microsoft Purview, you can assign roles. So whatever role you assign to a user there not only affects the user just in that place where you assign the role, it's the whole tenant. So if someone is a global administrator, right? The person is a global administrator, be it SharePoint, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams, they have access. They have access to the entire tenant. Now, if someone is a billing administrator, right, that means the person handles only billing. So in the admin center here, the person can do anything within billing and marketplace here, right? But that person cannot come to active users now and say, oh, they want to add a user or they want to do certain things. It will only allow you do what has been described that role can do tenant wide. So does that answer your question, Yahaya?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shike. I appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. There was another hand up. I will just plead with you to please give us 5 minutes. Let us go on a break. And as soon as we are back, we will take all your questions. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Chinke. We'll be back in 5 minutes, which is by 5:08, guys.
Okay, everyone, welcome back. Are we good to go?
Yeah, I think we're right on time. Thank you for coming back.
All right, great. So, someone asked a question in the chat. He said, "Can we play a cool, calm soundtrack at the background?" Bros, no vessel. We are not in lounge. Sorry about that.
I think he meant during the
break. I
break
know.
time. Okay.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Actually, someone
Yeah.
has a question that is very, very good question.
Yeah.
He's asking if is it possible to assign guest users license.
Yeah. If you can give a guest user license, to assign a guest user a license. So I'll tell you, yes, it is possible. But the question you need to ask yourself is, what are you assigning a guest user a license for? Because a license gives you access to features within 365. The license is what allows you to be able to access Teams or SharePoint or OneDrive, right? Or other features within 365. Now, if you are assigning that license to someone who is a guest, not a full user, they can't do anything. They can't do anything with those features because their access within the tenant is limited as a guest. As a guest, you don't have full access to the tenant. You only have access to the resource that was shared with you as a guest. So giving them a license does not change their permission status. So it is as good as fruitless. In most times where this conversation has come up, I have always advised that if you want to do that, create the person as a user in the organization and you can give them a license. And whatever they do on that account, right, is restricted to that organization. They can't take it outside. So anytime they want to do any work for your organization, they log into that vendor account that you've created for them to be able to have access that they need and do everything that they need within your organization. Now, but some organizations would rather not uh, create a user for a vendor within their organization. What they would rather do is share the document with them, limit the guest access so that that user does not have full access to the organization. So, yes, it is possible, but in the grand scheme of things, it is not entirely useful to give the guest user a license. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. That should be a good answer. And best practice is to, if there are some things or some access that you want the guest user to have, just best practice is just to create an account for them in your tenant and give them the access. But
All
instead of
right.
giving the guest user a license, as Chinke has already rightly answered. So yeah. So let's always follow best practice when practicing security within the cloud and in cybersecurity space. Thank you, Chinke, for that very insightful answer.
Yeah, and there's another question. Does global admin have access to billing admin? So, Aminat, yes, a global admin has access to everything in the organization. As I said, the global admin is like the Oga Bata Bata of the tenants. Is the one that has control over everything, over every single thing. Now, when I say global admin has control and full access to everything, that means they are able to carry out all functions or permissions that any role in the organization can carry out. A global admin can carry it out. There are no restrictions for a global admin. Okay. So I believe, does that answer your question, Amina? All right. So moving ahead, we're talking next about administrative units. Give me one moment. So there was something I wanted to talk about before administrative units when we're talking about custom roles. Give me a moment. Yeah, you can also use PowerShell to administer these roles, right? There are PowerShell commands. The documentation on roles will show you that. But what I wanted to talk about was privileged identity management, right? And what it does in the cloud. Now, some of you might have heard of privileged identity management and privileged access management. Now, I don't want you to confuse the two. When you hear privileged identity management, you're talking about the cloud. When you hear privileged access management, you're talking about on-prem. Now, privileged identity management, basically, it is there to help you with role assignments and making sure that the user has just-in-time access that is needed to carry out whatever role that they need to carry out, right? You basically have privileged identity management there to help you, right? In Entra, in Azure, in 365 to manage that a user is eligible for that role. And then it gives them just-in-time role, which is a global admin is a just-in-time access role, and so on, and other admin roles there as well. Now, the security controls of having privileged identity management is you can enable MFA, you can approve workflows, access reviews, and audit logs as well. And you can use it in Entra subscription management and 365 admin roles, as I said. So that's privileged identity management. And in privileged identity management, we're making use of the least privilege model, meaning we are giving only necessary permissions required for that role and not more than that. So I just wanted to point out those two: privileged identity management, privileged access management. Access management is for on-premise, identity management is for cloud. So in case you hear of it at any point in time. Okay. Right now, moving forward to administrative units. So AUs are like logical containers in Entra ID that allow you to segment your directory, as I said. So in your organization, you might have certain units, business unit or a department. You have finance, you have IT, you have marketing, and so on, or operations, right? So you can decide to segment your roles in Entra to administrative units, right? It's similar in concept to the same concept is used in on-prem as well. You have OUs in on-prem, while in cloud you have AUs, and they are used explicitly for RBAC, that's role-based access control, to try and segment those roles for users. That's what administrative units are. Yeah, so we're looking at, as I said, it can be any business unit, finance, HR, IT, and so on, right? And it uses the least privilege model as well, implementing zero trust principles by ensuring that administrators only have access to specific users or groups or resources that they need to perform their job functions. Yeah, mostly large organizations use this AUs, and also they use it to meet compliance as well. So moving forward, sorry, please, sorry for the baby noise. Give me a moment. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. So I have shown us where to configure administrative units as well. They're in here. This is where you can configure it. You can add and create and give the roles that you want. So in terms of best practices, yesterday we talked about least privilege, and as an administrator, you are always advised to regularly audit your permissions. Now, because you don't want a situation whereby a user is no longer in the organization, right? A user has resigned and that user still has access to their account after resigning. Now, this happens due to admins not carrying out regular audits or carrying out assignments when they are meant to carry it out, or being aware of these departing employees and so on. So it is important for you to regularly carry out these audits. And then also, it's a security plus as well for you to carry out those audits, because you are able to see, okay, this user is not supposed to have this role, but this user has it. You're able to catch on to it very fast. That's for the audits. And then scoping your AUs, depending on the organization, right, or how big it is, you can create like defense in-depth layers. Defense in-depth is a security implementation that is used to create multiple layers of defenses for your accounts to prevent mistakes or phishing and so on from occurring within the organization. And then you can also build custom roles, as we said, especially for vendors, people who are just coming briefly into the organization. You can create a custom role with the exact permissions that they will need to carry out whatever roles they want to carry out in the organization. Now, when we are analyzing permissions and auditing permissions, right? You have to be very, very attentive, right? And not just say, oh, all these ones are users, I don't need to check them. No. Entra wants you to, it gives you like the ability to see, you go into a role and see all the people that are in that role. So you know what critical roles are in your organization. For example, global admin is a critical role. Billing admin is a critical role because these contain PII, right? The global admin has access to the entire organization. Billing admin has access to the billing information that is on the tenant as well. So these are roles that, as a security person, you need to regularly audit those roles as often as possible. Now, going to the next part of our presentation today, we're talking about domains now. So custom domains are your own purchased domain. It can be chinke.com. It can be abc.com, your organization name.com or .au or anything. Those are custom domains. Now, Microsoft gives you what is called an initial domain, a default domain, which is the .onmicrosoft.com domain. Once you create a tenant, automatically that is created for you. Now, but you have the ability to buy your domain and add it into Microsoft 365, using it to create users. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this custom domain you can buy within Microsoft. Microsoft allows you to buy domains within them, or you can buy from partners or third party and then import it into Microsoft 365. Now we're dealing with when talking about this verifying your domain, right? It helps with adding your custom domain and verifying it helps with branding. Now, and it also helps with legitimacy of your organization. Now, if I see an email coming from, let's say, toyota.onmicrosoft.com, and you see an email coming from toyota.com, you are more inclined to believe toyota.com than toyota.onmicrosoft.com. That's what we're talking about when we say legitimacy. And then also federation, you can decide to implement single sign-on experiences, or if you have an on-prem and you want to create the synchronization, having those custom domains help as well. Now, you can add and verify a custom domain within Microsoft Entra. Okay. Give me a moment. Any questions so far?
There are a few questions from the chat.
Okay.
Someone is asking about what's the best method to carry out audits from for an organization. I think what she meant is how to utilize any of the solutions within the Entra ID to carry out audits.
Yeah. So, okay. So for that, to carry out audits, right? You can carry out audits in so many ways. So it depends on what you're auditing. Yesterday, we talked about audit logs. We went into, when we're looking at identity, we looked into the identity of a user and we saw that we can check the audit logs to see what actions that user has performed, right? So that's when you're talking about user audits. Now, in roles as well, you can carry out, or you can see audits here to see what roles have been assigned. So it's depending on what you're auditing. Are you auditing the roles that have been assigned in the organization? You can come here and you can filter it. You can see the date range showing you last 1 month. As we said yesterday as well, you need a Microsoft Entra ID Premium P2 for you to be able to see more than 30 days of these audits, right? So, but this is where you can carry out audits for roles as well. And you can carry out audits for users in here, either in the user directly, or you come to the audit logs here and you can see all the actions that have been performed in the organization. So, Aminat, I hope that answers your question.
I think Aminat still have a question regarding how to audit users that have left the organization.
So to filter users, what to do when users have left the organization is strictly based on whatever policies have been preset in the organization. Okay. Um, Now, some organizations want you to leave the user even after they have left for a certain time. So as an administrator, you start to ask certain questions, right? You ask, why do they want to leave this user? Does the user need a license? How do you approach leaving the user active, knowing that there might be some risk surfaces by still having that account active after the user has left, because you don't want the user to be able to access it, especially if MFA has been implemented. The user's account is going to be accessible by authentication through the user's phone alone. What are some of the things that you should do? Now, you cannot just filter and say, it's not 365 that will tell you this user has left the organization. You are the one as an admin that should know. Your HR should inform you, oh, that this person has left the organization. Then as an admin, your administrative instincts kick in and you start asking the right questions for you to be able to manage that user and make sure that it doesn't go further. Caller, we are getting to that. I just want to try and answer some questions before on what we have discussed already before we proceed to adding and verifying the domain. Okay. Now, so Aminat, as I was saying, your HR tells you it's not 365 that's going to tell you that the user has left the organization. So when you have confirmed who the user is, what actions do you take? I'll tell you. Now, if they want that user's mailbox to be accessible by the user's replacement, and you already have a replacement and you've created an account for the replacement, you can assign that replacement as a delegate on that mailbox so that they have access that they need to the mailbox without having to sign in directly to the mailbox. That's one. Two, you come into Entra, you go into users, you go to the user, and you can require, if MFA has been enabled for that user, you come into the user here, you come into authentication methods, and you require re-registration. Now, what does that do? That throws off, if the user already had the Authenticator app linked to this account on their phone, requiring registration will throw off that authentication that was set up on that user's phone and require a new one. So if the user is trying to access that again, it's not going to be possible. Now, thirdly, you can also go and block sign in for the user so nobody is able to sign into the account. You've already assigned delegate access, so that means whatever emails the replacement of that person needs to access, they can do that from their own mailbox, right? Now, thirdly, you can also convert the account from a user account to a shared mailbox. This saves you the money for the license you are going to be paying for that user, because a shared mailbox does not need a license to function. These shared mailboxes here don't need to be assigned licenses. All they need is a delegate. Whoever their delegate is the one that needs a license. The shared mailboxes don't need that license. So converting a user who has left the organization, converting their accounts to a shared mailbox is one step to also managing that user's account and managing the fact that they've left the organization. Aminat, please, you can unmute yourself. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I think she's having issue with mic, so she said very well. I think we're good on that one, yeah.
All right, that's great. Wachuku, is your question related to what we've discussed previously, or is it for what we are going to discuss, the domains?
Yeah, I was following you on this. I was on what you are teaching now. So I wanted to ask, maybe I don't know whether it's part of what you are going to do now, how to now convert the addresses to a shared mailbox.
Okay. All right, no problem. I'll show you that as well before we move forward. Okay, so in order for you to convert an account to a shared mailbox, you do that from the Exchange Admin Center. Okay? You come into Exchange, you come under recipients, you come to mailboxes, and let's say this is, so you'll see the recipient type here, showing you user mailbox or shared mailbox, right? And you can go in. Let me see if I have any account I can convert here. Okay. You can come here and select the account that you want to convert. Once you select it, you see convert to shared mailbox here, and it will ask you convert mailbox from regular to shared, and you click on confirm. Now that will, once you do that and you refresh the page, it would have converted it to a shared mailbox. Once you have done this, then you can come back into the 365 Admin Center, come to users and active users, and you can then unassign the license from the user. Okay. All right, we'll take this last question from Lovina and then we'll move forward to domains. Go ahead, Lovina.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just can you explain just the difference between user mailbox and the shared mailbox? Because you just said something about licensing. Kind of confused.
Yeah. Okay, so I said a shared mailbox does not need a license to function. A shared mailbox is able to function without a license. So you can either convert a regular user mailbox, which I just showed you, to a shared mailbox, or you can create a shared mailbox directly from here in the 365 Admin Center. You drop down teams and groups, you come to shared mailboxes, and you can create one from here. Now, a shared mailbox is accessed through a delegate. Once you create a shared mailbox now, right, you need to assign a delegate to access it because you cannot log in directly to this shared mailbox. It doesn't create a password for you when you create it here because shared mailboxes are accessed through delegates. Now, you add the permissions, you add the delegates who need access to that shared mailbox here, depending on what permissions you want to give to them, and it will automatically appear in their mailbox on the left here. Okay, I don't have a business mailbox logged in here. I would have shown you. But yeah, it will appear on the left on their Outlook app. On the web, most times you have to add it directly. Let me see. License. Yeah, you have to add it directly on the web by right-clicking on folders in your web app, and then you should see add shared folder, and you can add it. While a user mailbox, of course, needs a license for it to have a mailbox, while a shared mailbox does not. That is the major distinction between the two of them. So I hope that answers your question, Lovina.
Yes, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So now going forward, we're talking about domains, right? And we come here from the home in 365, you drop down Entra ID, and you come to domain services, right? And sorry, is this it? Sorry, not there, sorry. Domain names, sorry. So you drop down, you come to home, you drop down Entra ID, and you select domain names. So you have to be careful because there is also domain services here. But what we're looking for is domain names. Now, domain names will allow you to add a custom domain. You put in your domain, right? And you add domain, and it will add it. Then it will ask you for the record type. This is the record. So you copy these records here, and you go to your domain registrar. A domain registrar is basically where you purchased your domain from. So if you purchased your domain from GoDaddy, you go on GoDaddy and you add these records, right? The TXT record is usually used to verify the domain. That shows that you are the actual owner of that domain. And it's not just anybody, because if they allow you to just add the domain and save it and start using it, right? Anybody can just add a domain. But when you add the domain, once you put in the domain name, it's going to give you these records. You can verify that domain is your own in the portal that you purchased the domain from. You know, I told you can purchase your domain from Microsoft, or you can purchase it from any third party or Microsoft partner. For example, GoDaddy, right? You can purchase it in GoDaddy. Now, if you did that, in GoDaddy there, you will have where you can take a look at the DNS records. So these are called DNS records. TXT, MX record, CNAME record, those are DNS records, and they control your domain and how it works on 365, right? Not just on 365, anywhere. Even if you are putting your domain in Google, right? The DNS records will help you to manage them accordingly. So these records that you see, immediately we imputed the domain name, the custom domain name, and clicked add. It brought us to this page because these are the records that we need to go and add in our registrar. Now, if that domain was purchased from 365 as well, you can also add the records to verify it in here as well. Where is that? Sorry. You come in the 365 admin center, you come to settings and domains, and you click on that domain that you purchased from 365, and you will be able to see manage in here, where manage DNS records, where you can now add that DNS records, right? Now, coming back here, you copy these. So if you are verifying with TXT, you are verifying with TXT. There's no need for you to verify with both. You can only verify with one. So you either choose TXT or MX records to verify, right? Now, once you copy these records and you input these records in your domain registrar, you wait a couple of minutes, right? Usually 5 to 10 minutes because it needs to propagate, and you verify. Now, the time for verification is not dependent on Microsoft. It is dependent on your domain registrar. That is wherever you purchase that domain from. If it's GoDaddy, if it's Bluehost, they are the ones that control the propagation time. So you might click verify here, and it's going to tell you, oh, it's not verified, failed to verify, right? Check and try again. It's not Microsoft. Probably your registrar needs more time. So far, you've confirmed that you have imputed all of these records correctly, and it's still showing you this. You just need to give it more time. We have seen situations where it can take up to 24 hours for a record to be propagated from a domain registrar. So depending on that, if you see that, don't panic, give it time. Give it time. And that is why when you're adding a record and you're trying to verify, if that domain was live elsewhere and users have already been using it, you need to plan yourself when adding that domain to 365. Because why? You don't want a downtime for your users. The users were functioning in Google or wherever they were before with that domain, and now you're moving them to 365 to add that domain. That is in a situation whereby the domain has already been used before. If it's a new domain, no problem, right? But if you are dealing with a domain that is being transferred from a different host before, Google or any other host, right, and you're bringing it to Microsoft, you will need to plan so that there's no downtime, because You don't know which registrar is going to take longer time. Now, GoDaddy is a Microsoft partner. Normally, they don't take as much time. It happens immediately. But if you're dealing with other people that are not Microsoft partners, you don't know how long it will take. So you need to plan and make sure that you are doing this transfer at a downtime, at a time when the office is not going to be up and running and need access to their emails. Probably weekend or anything is just planning, basically, that you need to do. So once you verify that, right, you will also have the option, because I don't have any custom domain now to add here, I can't show you that. But once you verify it on here, if you look at the documentation, it will probably explain more further on that, but I'll tell you. Once you've verified that the domain is yours and it has verified and added, at that point in time, you are able to create users with that domain in the organization. Now, once you do that, you can also set the DNS records further, depending on where you want them to point to. If you want it to point to Microsoft, once you edit the MX records. Now, I'll also teach you this, which is MX record here, which you can see we can also use to verify a domain in 365. This is what handles mail flow for the domain. So Microsoft has their own MX records that you need to input for your domain for your emails to be controlled by Microsoft. This is the record that controls that MX. TXT, on the other hand, is TXT, but we also call it SPF records, right? The SPF records handles verification of ownership. It handles mail delivery in terms of verifying or authenticating that this email is coming from the right domain or the right source, right? That's what the SPF record does here. So two very important records that you add when you add a new domain, apart from this verification, is the Microsoft MX records and Microsoft SPF records or TXT records. If you just go on Google and you search it, Microsoft MX records, you see what the records are and how you can add them. Okay. Any questions on that? I know that can be a little bit confusing, but please ask your questions, okay? I'll try to answer.
Okay, good evening, sir. So please, oh God, can you just try to go recap again about the domain? God, please.
All right. So
Chinke, hold on. Let me give you a domain to practice with. I will just have the record from my hand for them to see it.
Okay, you can give me on the chat.
Yeah, I'll drop the domain in the chat. The only challenge is that they will not be able to see the registrar part of things.
Okay. Do you want to also share your screen when we get to that part so that they can see it as well?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay.
All right. Great. So let's do this. So Lovina, I'll take it from the top again. So what we're talking about here is adding custom domains to 365, adding and verifying your custom domain, right? And these custom domains are what you're going to use to create your users. So instead of you creating a user one at abc.onmicrosoft.com, you're creating a user 1 at abc.com. It is the custom domain that you add in Microsoft 365 that will enable you to be able to do that. And to add that custom domain, you come here from home, you drop down Entra ID, and you come to domain names. Now, once you're in domain names, you can add custom domain here, and you paste the domain name here, and you add domain. So as soon as we added the domain, you see it has brought us here to where we need the records, right? So we can verify with TXT or verify with MX records. Most times, most people like using TXT, right? Because you can have multiple TXT records in your domain registrar, some domain registrars, but some you cannot have multiple MX records. Now, as soon as you are done with the verification process, you're free to delete this, right? As soon as it has been confirmed that it's verified, so that you can add other TXT records. Even the MX, the same thing. You can delete it as soon as it's verified. But for this class, we're going to use TXT. Emmanuel, I'm pasting the point2 address in the chat, and then Emmanuel will share his screen, take you to the domain registrar, which is where you input these records that is giving you here. Please note, this record is not always the same, right? In fact, it is never the same, right? For each time. I'm so sorry I've been speaking on mute. So sorry.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. Maybe
Okay.
Yeah, you are not on
perhaps
mute. I can hear you as well.
Okay, okay. All right. So this record, right? This record always changes. It is never the same. So you're adding a new domain, a new custom domain after this is going to give you a different record. So you need to be sure and make sure you're copying the right record. I have pasted the points2 address. That's what you call this. You can see this is the alias or host name. Emmanuel will share his screen and show us on the domain registrar how to add these records so that we can verify it on here. So after adding, then we'll come back here and I'll show you how to verify. Emmanuel, you can go ahead and share your screen.
All right, thank you, Chinke. Yeah, so like Chinke mentioned, a domain registrar, there are a lot of them out there. GoDaddy, Bluehost, Namecheap, anyone, right? Then Microsoft also provide opportunity to purchase domain from Microsoft. So the domain I share with Chinke, I actually purchased it on Azure. It's an app service domain. So this is the domain here. So if I click on the domain, right, the record that Chinke gave to me, I need to add it because Microsoft needs to be sure that you actually own that domain. So what I do is that, so on your domain registrar, maybe GoDaddy or anywhere you purchase it, right? Just go to manage DNS record here. When you click on manage DNS record, you'll see where you can add different, record. So if I click on record set here, it won't be the same. So you see different records. So these are the records that actually came with the domain automatically when I purchased it. But I think I wanted to use it for a particular demo. So I need to delete this first for now. So most of the time, if you purchase from GoDaddy or Bluehost, you'll not see any record. But because I purchased from Microsoft, and I think I've actually used this domain for a different demo before. So it's giving this record. But what I need to do is to click on add. So you see how to add DNS there. So first of all, the DNS that it provided was a TST record. So you see different record here. So you mentioned MX, which is May Exchange record. So you're going to click on this TST record. Then it's going to ask for the name. So from what Chinke shared earlier, the name should be, I think, at Chinke, you can confirm that if the name was
Yes. Yes. So the name, right, when you are adding a record, be it for verification, be it for anything at all, most times when you're adding a record, the host name or alias is either left blank or you put at symbol.
Right. So let me just create the TXT record. I'm going to leave it blank because it's saying that there's already a TXT record here. I think it's because of this particular, I've already used this domain for a different test before. Or let me be sure the domain I gave to Chinke in the chat. But I think I gave a different domain. mycloudtech.org. Yeah, so it's this one here. Sorry about that. So if I click on manage DNX record, then click on record sets. So I have this particular record here. So either I do two things. I can either delete the record first, usually because I've used it for some example before. So already just put the hat here for me as a name. Let me apply this first and delete this completely first. Yes. The record is still showing. So let me see. So like Chinke mentioned, it takes propagation. But however, I'm just going to edit that record I had before, then pick the value that you provided for me in the chart. I'm going to paste the value here. So it's mentioned something about TTL also, time to load, right? So usually, if you select seconds here, then it's going to be, I think, 3600, right? From Chinke's end. So either you leave it at 1 hour. So is the domain registrar that also, provide this, or Microsoft can also provide this. So once this is done, the record we needed is this, is the value. That's the most important thing. Then you just click on apply to save the record. So Chinke, I think I share your screen now so that it should not propagate the MX and the TXT record.
Okay. All right. So as we said, right, when you've added these records, you saw that he added a TXT. This is the alias or host name given as at. The points to address, which is the value, that's the most important one. And then the time to load, which is, it can be 3600 seconds or 1 hour. For all Microsoft services, it is always 1 hour or 3600 seconds. It is never above that for all Microsoft services. But please note, as an admin, you need to note that there are some registrars who automatically give you a time to load. They won't allow you select 1 hour. 1 hour is not there in their options. In that case, you can do two things: go with what they have, or you can call them and ask them to set it for you to what you want it to be. That's that. So now that we've added our records in the registrar, right, we want to verify. So we come down here and we click on verify, and you see it's successfully verified domain name. This means that it has verified that this domain belongs to this person, because this person has been able to add these records that I provided in their domain registrar and confirmed it. So once that is verified, then the domain is available for you at that point in time. Okay, you saw the option showing there that domain has been verified. So if you come here and you refresh, you see mycloudtech.org is verified. So that is how you verify a domain.
I'm taking my test too.
Please, can you mute yourself? So,
yeah.
Please, can you mute yourself
No,
for
it's
God's
not
sake?
it doesn't feel like this.
All right. So, after verification of the domain, as I said, you can decide to point the records, the MX records, to Microsoft 365. and you can add the TXT records to make this domain be completely with Microsoft, such that anything at all that you are doing with this domain is being controlled by Microsoft. Now, I'll show you briefly how you can do that as well to get the records for the MX that you will need. So you can do that from here. Let's come to the 365 Admin Center, right? So from the 365 Admin Center on the left pane, you drop down Settings and you go to Domains, right? And then you'll see the domain there. It's going to show you incomplete setup here because we've not refreshed. So let's refresh. And yeah, it's still showing you incomplete setup. And this is because we've only verified the domain. We've added and verified the domain, which will allow us to create users, right? But the domain has not been set up in terms of adding the DNS records that will enable you to use the email services for the domain and so on. Now, that setup is what I'm talking about when I say you can add the MX record, you can add the TXT records and the CNAME records, right? Now, I'll show you what those records are. Let us come here and continue setup. I just want to show you, not that we are doing it. Add your own. You see, these are the options. When you come to, let's start that again, please. So when you come to settings and domains, you click on the domain and you continue setup. Then it brings you to this page, right? How do you want to connect your domain? You say add your own DNS records and you continue. And then you wait. Now it's going to give you the records to add. You see add DNS records. It tells you who your DNS hosting provider is as well. Most times it tells you that here. Now, these are the records you see for Exchange Online. These are the records. The MX record, this is the same details like we had before. Points to address. You can see the host name, the priority. These are the details that is expected for you to add in your domain registrar. You add the CNAME as well, auto discover. Now, this auto discover records enables when you're trying to add your account to applications, right? The prompts that you get when you put in your account and you see it's able to read your organization accounts, that is called auto discover, right? It's automatically discovering that this account belongs to Microsoft. If the account is a Google account, auto discover will discover that this account belongs to Google. If it's a Yahoo and so on, just like that. So this auto discover records points that this account is any account attached to this domain is a Microsoft account. Then you have the SPF records, as I told you, for mail delivery protection and authentication as well in here. So we're not doing that now. I'm just showing you that this is where you can do it. Before we proceed, we have a question from Wachuku Uba. Can you go ahead with your question?
Yeah, can you drop just the TST in the chat, then we'll verify.
Okay.
Why won't you ask question?
Okay, all right.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm following the teaching. I just bought a domain name from Q servers, and I'm trying to follow what you are doing, but I don't seem to find where I can enter the records I copied from the admin center into Q server so that I can get my domain name verified.
Okay. Can you look for anything that has to do with DNS management, DNS manager or something like that?
Just domains. Just look for domains first. Then when you go to domains, you should identify and see the domain that you bought, right?
Yes,
when you
I've seen
see
it.
Okay, now click on that domain to go into the domain. It will show you so many options, right?
Okay. Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
now look in those options that you are seeing around that place. Look for anything that has to do with manage domain, manage DNS records. DNS is what we're looking for.
Okay, what I can see here is transfer in a domain, register a new domain. Like there is services that has my licenses, other new domains, my domain, register a new domain, transfer domains to us, domain search.
What's the name of the domain registrar? Let me see if I can.
Q servers.
Q servers.
Click on my domains.
Okay.
Now, when you see your domain, do you see any 3 dots or anything near it?
3 dots. No, I don't
Or
see
options? No, but you can click on your domain, right?
Yeah.
Click on it again.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, now once you're inside, on the left or anywhere at all, do you see anything concerning manage? Manage DNS.
I can't see any edit accounts, contacts, password
Okay,
security.
you saw edit.
Edit account detail. There is where there is domain, it's just my domains, register a new domain, transfer domains to us, domain search.
Can you see the domain that you bought itself? When you
Yes, I
sign
can
it,
see it.
you can see,
Yes,
click on the
yes.
domain itself. Click on the domain itself.
When I click on it, it's taking me to as if I'm searching on the website, but I don't have a landing page for it yet.
Did you just purchase the domain?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just purchased.
It might take time to even propagate.
It might take some time for it to propagate as well. But
Okay. Sorry. On the domain, I've seen manage name servers, domain DNS manager.
Exactly.
Manage
on that
domain.
Domain DNS manager. Yes.
Domain DNS manager. That's where you do it.
Okay.
So the reason why I wanted to answer this question is because this is a real life scenario, and a lot of admins see these real life scenarios whereby you are dealing with a registrar that you haven't dealt with before. You might not easily locate it, but you see how we kept on saying DNS, manage DNS, manage DNS. That's what you're looking for. It's left to you to just know how you play around that domain, see the options that are available, just like he did, and you'll be able to locate where you can manage DNS records. It's that simple. You know what you're looking for. You don't know where it is, but you know what you're looking for. So far, you know what you're looking for. You've solved 50% of the problem. Okay?
Yeah. I've opened the DNS manager now. I've seen host name, TTL, type, value.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But no problem. You can use the Microsoft Learn documents to complete the rest of the steps, just like we have showed you. You can watch the recording as well. We are losing. Itoje, have you added the TXT?
Yes, I've added it. Yes, you can continue.
Okay, so when you've added these records in your domain registrar, right? After you've added it, the same way we talked about propagation time and so on, same applies here. Sometimes it propagates immediately, but naturally Microsoft will tell you 2 to 24 hours. So after you've added them, you click on continue. It's going to check the web, the internet, for those records. And you see, it'll tell you domain setup is complete. So when you click on done, and you come back, it will bring you back here. You just come back to domains and you see that your domain will show up as healthy. Okay. So because of time, our time is far spent, but I believe we all know what adding and verifying custom domains are. DNS records as well that are used to verify these domains, and we know where to verify domains inside of the Microsoft Entra Admin Center by coming to Home, Entra ID, and you go to domain names. This is where you can do that. Now, next thing we're looking at here, just quickly, we're going to breeze through this, which we have already discussed, tenant-wide user settings, right? We've talked about how some settings are user per user. For instance, MFA, we talked about MFA being per user setting, while security default is a tenant wide, which applies to the entire tenant. And also, I believe someone asked a question earlier, if a global, if any role that you give to a user affects the entire tenant or just a specific place, which we said roles affect the entire tenant, right? So it's tenant wide. There are so many settings in Entra which are tenant wide. You can configure how members, guests, and so on, the permissions that they have within Entra, right? And you can also configure self-service password resets, just like we discussed yesterday. We have discussed security defaults as well, right? But I'll also show you in here. I showed yesterday, but I'll show you again. You come to home, and under home here, you come to Entra ID and overview. Okay. Once you come to Entra ID and overview, you come to properties on the right side, and you scroll down and you see the manage security defaults, which you can enable and disable here. These are part of some of the tenant wide settings which you can set up. Now, talking about password resets is also a tenant wide setting as well, which you can set up from here. Also, give me a moment. Let me see. So we're talking about guest users, external identities. You can manage permissions for guest users as well, right? You can manage what they have access to and so on from in here. I'm not delving, this is, yeah. So if you come to, I'm not going to delve deep into it, but I'll show you. If you come to home, you come to Entra ID and you come to external identities. This is what handles external identities. And then you can come to external collaboration settings here for you to decide what permissions and how you want the permissions for guests to look like.
Yeah, I think there will be another training class for this external identities.
Okay, all right. So basically this is what Entra, this is an overview of what Entra does. One more thing which I wanted to show you before I let you go is identity secure score. Now, as an administrator in a tenant, right, Microsoft has given you a guide to ensure that your organization is completely secure. Now, you come to Entra ID and you click on Identity Secure Score, and you see the score that your organization has, right? How secure is your organization? It gives you a percentage, right? And then it gives you, if you come to all here, this is just security, best practice, defender for identity. But under all, it gives you everything where you can look at things, recommendations that you can implement in your organization to make it more secure. Now, nobody's saying that your identity secure score should be 100%. We're not saying that, right? But as the admin, knowing what your organization is doing and what you require, right, in terms of security, you can come here and take a look at all of these and implement the ones that you can implement. Now, they have priorities. There's high, there's low, there's medium. So depending on the risk threshold of your organization, you know which to implement first and which to leave for much later. Okay. So that's about that. Going through the documentation will explain it. Basically, what we have done yesterday and today is to give you an overview of Microsoft Entra for you to fully be aware and understand what Entra entails, how to navigate around it. At least if someone tells you, oh, go to Entra and do this for me, even if you don't know where it is, you come to Entra, you know what you're looking for, right? You have an idea of what you're looking for. With what we've done so far, you can easily just come here and search for it. If it's company branding, you come here, you see company branding. Anything at all you're looking for within Entra, you can do it from here. You can search for it here and you click on it and you get to it. So as we said, this is an overview. For more in-depth reading, you can go through the links as well. So I'm just going to take 3 questions if we have up to 3. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Okay. So any questions for me before we go?
Can I just chime in before they go?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful session. So like I mentioned in our first lab class, right, that we have a lot of resources. So just to show us how you can leverage on everything that you've learned so far. So remember, so our S300 actually officially started yesterday. It's our mentor, Chinke. Chinke is actually my boss, so it's a privilege to actually have him. He's always to have a man like him joining us is a privilege. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So if you go to again, if you go to if you go to github.com, all right. So on the GitHub, you'll be able to see the lab for the S300, right? That you can play with. So this lab, you see the link to the lab here, right? So the lab setup, we've already done that already. So you just go to this module 1 that talks about user role, right? So go through it. So it's explain it step by step for you, everything that Chinke has actually, taught us. So if you want to actually practice it, I'm going to drop this link in the chat because we'll be covering most of the conversation. And another thing I want to give us actually is around everything Chinke has been saying in the Entra. Don't mind me, I usually go through Azure for my Entra, right? So what I do usually is this, is basically simple. I told us we will not be feeding us. We want you to do your own research too. That's why we're sharing those links, those documentation. What I do, let's say for example, I want to learn about roles and administrator, for example, in Entra. Just open Google, roles and administrator in Microsoft Entra ID. Enter it. So you will see links, Microsoft links. Anyone that says Microsoft links, it take you to Microsoft link directly that you can learn more. This is the link to the administrative unit, right? You'll be able to learn more, you'll be able to read more about the topic that has been discussed. So that will be all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. And that's really what the information that Emmanuel has shared in his first session, and he took a lot of time to answer a lot of people's question and set the path straight. But this is a kind reminder to always do your research and do your studies on your own. But I can tell you that Chinke has really taken his time to grab your hands and take you to the basics, show you all this, even though it's supposed to be higher at high level, but he has done it at a low level for you, and always sharing the battlefield experience he has been going through every day. So really, you should go and watch this video again if you missed some things, or if you are really distracted. Watch it again and listen to some nuances and some experience Chinke has really shared.
We'll continue to be here with you because SC 300 just started, and we'll still meet next week to continue. I think we'll only have a break during the Christmas. I think based on the 10th. Hold on, let me see. We only have breaks only from 21st December to 2nd January. That's the only break we have. So we'll still see you next week. Hopefully you guys will still be there with us. We'll continue to share our experience and guide you through how you can certify yourself, understand, and become more hands-on with Microsoft SC 100 and SC 900 and SC 300. Thank you very much. I think we can end this one for today, unless Chinke has something to add.
Yeah. Before we go, Finn, you can put your question in the chat. I'll see it and I'll try to answer it. But just before we go, I wanted to thank everyone. Thank you, especially to the organizers of this event, of this class. It's amazing. It's great. And trust me, you see, the knowledge you're getting today is knowledge that will definitely be useful in your career. And one thing I want you to know is don't look that, oh, I'm seeing a lot of things, I don't understand it. I'll tell you what I was told to when I was being trained, which is in training, you are learning only 30%. You learn the remaining 70% when you are on the job, when you are doing it, when you are carrying out practicals. That is why Itoje is bringing the labs for you to do. Because I might talk from today till tomorrow. Trust me, many of it will not make sense until you carry out those labs. When you are doing those things, you are seeing it. Some of the things I might even tell you, right, might not align by the time you are doing the lab because Microsoft has changed. I don't know about you, but ask others here. There are times when we sleep and we wake up and we open the admin center and it has been rearranged. A lot of things have been. It's a normal thing. It's not new. So, but because we already have the foundational knowledge, right? We already know the concepts. So if they like, they turn it upside down, change it from east to west, north to south, you are still able, because of that foundational knowledge that you have, you are able to navigate through any system. And that's basically what it is. So do not be afraid that you don't understand anything. You're seeing gibberish now, you're seeing a lot of things. Don't be afraid. Keep on learning, keep on showing up, and keep on doing those labs. And trust me, experience comes over time. It's not in a day, it comes over time through practice. And I wish you guys all the best, nothing but the best. I dropped my LinkedIn in the chat. Feel free to follow me, feel free to connect with me. I will try as much as possible as time permits to answer as many of your questions. Though we're all in different places here now. This training, I had to wake up very early, like 5, because by my time here is 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. that this training started. But I mean, it's what we do because this is what it is. This is the industry. This is the job. We love what we do. And welcome to join us. Welcome to the team. I wish you all the best. Okay. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much, Chinke, and see you guys next week for another informative and enlightening educative session.